Cold front hit. I'm down here and I'm cleaning out my boat. I'm in my shop. It's nice and warm in here. And I'm going through everything. It's a new year. Tournaments are starting to pop up. I'm trying to get my boat organized and everything organized and my shop organized, because I'm still moving into it. It's still a wreck, but it's getting better. I'm slowly putting stuff away. While I do all that, I'm always thinking, okay, what do I got for y'all? Like, what's something pretty cool? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I've got some really cool videos. I got some really cool stuff on LiveScope. So if you want to see some things on LiveScope that to me are really interesting, just really cool to watch, this is the video for y'all. It's gonna be, I'll talk you a little bit through it, some things that I saw, some things that I find interesting. I find some giant schools. I made a fish tip video on it. Took me forever. It's freaking, you know, it's all in there. It's crazy. There's a lot in there, but this is the kind of stuff I'm offering. I don't know who else is offering this, but I'm offering it. Anyways, I am going to show y'all a little bit of sneak preview, or not even a sneak preview. I'm just going to show you one of the clips I put in there, because this footage on LiveScope is pretty amazing. I'm not actually out there like catching fish. I don't know how you want to call catching fish off LiveScope. A lot of times when I think about LiveScope fishing, it is most of the stuff you see are a single fish and a guy throwing to a single fish and catching them. That's like 10% of LiveScope. I didn't really find these fish because of LiveScope. I found them doing a couple different things, but I did find them. It's pretty cool. There's no way you can single out a single fish in here because there's hundreds of them. And they're not all bass, but most of them are bass. So here they are. Get ready, buckle up. It's a pretty wild video. All right, check it out. Check out that. Check out how many of them there are. What I got here. Oh. I mean, that's how many. It's just hitting the bottom. They're on there. These are all new places too. Like I've never caught any fish here before. Never even, like I said, once you find the pattern, the line's all messed up. Really pay attention to some of these things on the video. What I found really interesting are just how the fish moved. How they are on the bottom, they're like glued to the bottom. And you think, oh, there's like 20, 30 of them. No, when you get one coming up and watch how they all start coming up and they all follow each other and how far away they follow each other, it really shows me how much they're keyed in on each other and how they're keyed in on if like one bass makes a move, just one, how it ignites the whole school. And so it's really cool to watch them go up, follow that fish up. They hang out there for seconds. Doesn't take them long, and you watch them. Watch how as they all of a sudden just make their way back to the bottom. This isn't 10, 15 foot of water, guys. This is deep water. So they're traveling a pretty good distance in a small amount of time. So pay attention to some things. We'll go over some more stuff too. Insane. How many fish are out here? How many different schools there are? There's a bunch too. These are the most active for sure. I bet you no one's even found these yet. They seem really dumb. I talked about earlier how they get excited, right? They get really excited real quick when you catch one. But as soon as you get that one in the boat, if you watch them, they start calming down really quickly. And like you, they all just kind of start sinking to the bottom. And watch them on bottom, how they're moving very slowly because it's kind of cold and they're kind of deep. But I found that interesting. I don't think that happens in the summertime. I think this happens more in the wintertime where the movement of them. I think in the summer when I see them, they never slow down. They're like when they're moving in schools like that, they're on the move and they're really getting it. But in the wintertime, you can see that movement really, really slow down. And I've been able to witness that, luckily, from this summer to this winter. They can talk all they want to about tournaments hurting this lake. There's thousands of these fish out here, thousands of them. It's crazy. I messed it up. So what everyone has a hard time with LiveScope, and I do too, is like really seeing fish on the bottom. I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people. Some guys sit there and say they can see every fish on bottom. I personally can't. I've seen it to where I see fish come up off the bottom. I've had differing opinions. Some guys that I really trust that aren't trying to show that they know it all. They're very humble, and when they talk about this stuff, because I try to be like, hey man, I know I don't know everything. When they're trying not to prove anything, they tend to agree with more of what I say. Is that, yeah man, we can't always see all of them. I always trust a guy that says that over, oh yeah, I can see every one of them. I know how big they are, things like that. I'm not saying they're not wrong. I just tend to believe the guy that, I always tend to believe people that when they're like, hey, we don't know everything, we don't see everything, but yeah, I'm seeing kind of the same stuff you do. So you can see little things that, yeah, there's fish down there, but if you really look close to the bottom, you can see that bottom broken up. And so this is one of the ways you can kind of, when you get on schools like this, it helps you identify that. All right, Alabama rig time. Let's see here. I think they're just everywhere. It might have been why I don't get bit. I might have been out of them. It didn't take too long. To really grasp how big of schools these are, I have my LiveScope set out to 100 foot. So that means I'm showing basically 100 foot of the bottom, but only in one direction, right? So I'm facing one direction and that's all you're seeing. A lot of times when I was catching these fish, I really wasn't worried about LiveScope, right? If you notice, I wasn't turning my LiveScope to stay on them. I didn't have to. The school was that big. I was just catching fish. And so at times at the end, I kind of got off of them again, just like we all would, because I really wasn't even touching the trolling motor. And you see, I was like, man, I'm not catching it. And when I turn the trolling motor to find them again, you can see that whole 100 foot light up again with fish. And so I just found that, like I said, there were times where I could move that trolling motor, 90 degrees, and the whole 90 degrees of 100 foot showed fish. And so, like I said, whatever we thought we knew about how many fish were out there in schools, in my opinion, the way I thought, and I was way off. There was a lot more fish than I realized. So I've been bringing up fish tips a little bit in some of these videos, and this was like a small clip of, I had an hour and 45-minute video, I think, on fish tips. And so this is just a little small clip, but I really dive into detail about really finding these places and all that other stuff. But like I said, there was like multiple clips like this, sometimes 15 minutes long of LiveScope, another like 8 minutes long, and really dive into graphs and finding everything on the map. And then there's a lot in there, a lot of fish catches, a lot of what I'm throwing, a lot of what I'm using, a lot of how to find this stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing the entire video, like hour and 45-minute of video, go check it out. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie, I found quite a few of these schools. So I found a couple of them like this. They're all pretty cool. This one was the wildest one. Like these got pretty wild, pretty aggressive, and it was pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of neat. I would have never have known this goes on underneath the water. Kind of had an idea. I've been white bass fishing my whole life. I grew up on Livingston white bass fishing, so I knew white bass acted like this, and I knew how aggressive they were, but and the fact that I would see there's thousands of fish in a white bass school. So I always knew they kind of came up to the top and they did all this and they followed it like that much, but to watch that many bass do it, like that many, like hundreds, yeah, it's pretty wild. So anyways, hope y'all enjoyed that. See y'all.